now joined by John Christopher Bua, a US political analyst and White House commentator. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Thanks very much for being part of the show. I wanted to start by asking, really, what does this mean for President Biden over the next 2 years? A divided Congress, potentially gridlock ahead. I'm guessing all of this makes it much harder for the president.
Well, he's ready for it. He knows what's going on. He knows that the Republicans have been handed a snake pit by the former guy, we call him. We don't mention Trump's name anymore. And the speech he made was absolutely obsequious and ridiculous and very hateful and filled with lies. So now Kevin McCarthy can thank Donald Trump for leaving him with a completely different House. The red wave has become a blue tsunami, I'm afraid to say, for the Republicans. The Democrats will hold on to the Senate. And as far as any legislation is getting done, the Republicans better start looking like they're going to work for the American people, or they're going to be thrown out again in a couple of years. You cannot just gridlock a president, especially when there's a major war going on. We're seeing missiles falling in Poland while the president is on his trip, including with the Indian president as well, and all the world leaders. And now we have this horrendous group of very extreme right-wing Republicans who are going to push Kevin McCarthy, who is not that extreme. He's trying to get along with people. He's sort of pathetic. And then they're going to push him to the right. He's going to not know what to do because, don't forget, Mark, he has to answer to his own constituents, just like in any country and any democracy. And he's going to go back with an empty plate. So Biden is sitting back, and Biden's going to say, look, I'm willing to work with you all. I've been doing this for a long time. I was a senator. I was a member of Congress. I was vice president, and I know how to work with Congress. I know all of these people, but let's work together for the American people. And it's up to Kevin McCarthy and the extreme right wing, frightening. And they will cut off, as our friend in New York said, they are looking to cut off funding for the war in Ukraine. They don't want it. They want to spend it on border walls, which Trump never built. He lied. He's going to get the Mexicans to pay for it. You know, the Mexicans, they're rapists. They're horrible. It's just a sham. And what's going on here, Mark, and I know there's enough problems in India and there's enough problems in the UK right now, especially with the heating issues, that we are suffering. We are suffering a tribal warfare. And Biden is a conciliator, and that may be to his advantage. He cares about people. He cares about human rights. He cares about marriage equality, and those things are getting passed. That'll go through to his desk today. So we've made some major advances with Biden, and if you can't go back, and the red wave, I'm sorry, it didn't work. There still isn't totally settled, but I think the Democrats are about 11 seats behind. They needed 218. I think they have 228 or something at the very moment, but that is still changing.
And you mentioned those stark divisions in US politics, those divisions between Democrats and Republicans. You also mentioned Donald Trump, and we now know that he is going to have another run at the White House. Do you think that knowing that will change Joe Biden's calculations over the next few weeks as he weighs up whether or not he's definitely going to run for re-election?
Well, I don't think Joe Biden is pressured to tell anybody what he's going to do. He'll talk about that with his wife and his family. It's a personal issue, I'm sure you know. This is a decision you make with your family. But what Donald Trump showed was that he is really the emperor without any clothes. And he didn't get that group of people that was supposed to support him. He went out and picked some of the worst candidates imaginable, and he lost enormous credibility. So the extreme MAGA people might still be with him because they're afraid of him for some reason, I don't know. I grew up near him in New York, and he was always basically pathetic. And the middle Republicans, the real solid Republicans, they're very afraid to get too close to him because he's poison. He really is. So it's going to be an interesting time. I might say, Mark, it's not a pleasant time here with this tribal warfare, but it certainly will be interesting for people like me, the political analyst. And when people ask me what I think about Donald Trump, I say I'm a political analyst, not a psychoanalyst. I'll leave that to someone in a different profession.
John Christopher Brewer, US political analyst and White House commentator. Thank you very much for your time this morning.